Okay, we're going to start recording now. Hi, everybody. My name is Noah. I'm one of the educators with Shortcuts. And on today's classroom session, we're going to talk about staying socially connected. So it's one of the most important things that you could be doing for your business right now. And hopefully you already have some social connectivity in place for your salon or your studio or your barbershop, and that you're staying engaged with your customers during unfortunately, this lockdown period. So, if you are not currently using any sort of program, if you don't have any plan in place, if you don't even know where to begin, this is a good place to start. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, this presentation's about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. We are recording, and of course, we will be taking questions near the end unless you have a pressing question right away. In case you have to drop out early, we will be sending a link with this recording out. Or if you have any questions that you think of after the fact, you will have the ability to reach out to us and we will get back to you. So let's talk a little bit about today's agenda. So we're going to look at ways that you can add links. How exactly are you supposed to take advantage of social media during this period where the majority of our salons and our businesses are closed? Well, just because they're closed doesn't mean that you can't stay in contact with your customers, that you can't keep them informed, that you can't keep them up to date. So we want to make sure that you're using your booking link or your website link and that you have it added to your social media. But then beyond that, how else can you stay engaged? So we would advise, if you're not currently using your Spotlight surveys, your Spotlight reviews, how to set that up, how to work with that. And then how do you increase your visibility online? So most of you know, if you were to do a Google search, chances are your business shows up. So how exactly does Google know what your business details are? How do they know about your service menu, or how do they know what features you have? So how do you increase your profile? How do you increase your searchability? We're going to talk about that. And of course, we'd also like to mention that Social Sorted, it's one of the new shortcuts programs that we offer. We help your business. We curate a list of images, we curate a list of articles that can help you post information on any of your social media platforms that are specific to your business. So if you're a spa or a salon or a barbershop, we have resources that you can use so that you always have content that your customers can read about, can learn about. And just a reminder, if you sign up for Social Sorted, it's actually free to use until June 30th. So the sooner you start using it, the easier it will be to stay engaged during this period. So let's start with the very first thing. If you have an Instagram page, if you have a Pinterest page, if you have a Twitter page, you should absolutely be using those social media services to advertise your business or to advertise your online features. So in case you're new to Instagram, if you've never done this before, there's a few places you can actually add your link. So of course, on your main Instagram page, in your bio, and this goes for the bio sections for most other social media pages, there's a place for you to put in a link to update that information. But also in Instagram, you have the ability to post links on your updates, your stories. So let's say you have a really nice picture of the salon or your staff or just a message for your customers. When you're on that screen, when you're uploading it in Instagram, you should have the ability to link it. So on this step, you'll notice it's the second picture. I have a blue picture here with a little chain link button. So when you press that button, this is what tells Instagram, oh, swipe up, and you've probably seen it a million times, swipe up to visit this link. So the link could be for your web page. Once your site is open again, you may want to link your online booking or your self check-in, things like that. So you'll go to that link button, and then you're going to have a little window where you can type in or you can paste in the link if you've copied it, and then you're going to press done. And then once you press publish, when the customers see your update, see you have a video story or a picture story, you'll have some information. And when you mention swipe up, then customers will go to that link when they swipe up. So if you're not using that little tip, go ahead and start using it, because this makes sure that customers stay engaged. They're watching videos, they're learning information, and they're getting updates from you. And of course, social media is far more popular these days than customers just going to your webpage. So if a customer doesn't know you've updated your webpage or you've updated something, this is the fastest way to reach them. But then beyond that, how does the internet work? How do the Google searches work? How do customers find you? And this includes new customers. So when somebody jumps online and they say, I'm looking for a salon that does color, or I'm looking for a barber shop that cuts kids' hair, or I'm looking for a tanning or even a tattoo studio. So how does Google know to find your business and to sort of display that? A lot of it has to do with your visibility. How often is your web page updated? How often is your information updated? Your business hours, your service menu, things like that. So if you want to increase your visibility, you have to make sure that online, your name, your business name keeps coming up. So of course, having multiple social media pages, managing all of that, that helps increase your profile. So if you have Angel Salon, for example, if Angel Salon has a web page, has an Instagram, has a Twitter, has a Facebook, and it's being updated a couple of times a week, then when Google or Bing or Yahoo or any of the search engines is sort of going through the web pages, seeing what's been updated, if it detects that the name Angel Salon keeps coming up with new updates a few times a week, then it's going to say, okay, this site is active. This site is constantly updating. Then when a customer just searches for a salon in a particular city or community or services that happen to be an Angel Salon service menu, then I'm going to put this near the top of the list because this site is always being updated. So keep that in mind. The higher your profile is for search engines depends on how much you're being updated in social media and on your website. So that's how you're going to get your customers to stay engaged. If they can find you, if they can search for you, then of course you're going to increase business and you're going to retain customers. One of the best ways to retain those customers and to increase your visibility is to have surveys. So Shortcuts has what's called Spotlight. If you're on the Evolve package, so that's the tier 2 package with Shortcuts, everybody from that package and up has the ability to do surveys. And these are automatic surveys that can send out when a customer has their first visit with you, and then a survey that goes out every few weeks or every few months or even just once a year if you have customers that are concerned about their privacy. So with those surveys, once they get published, and think about sharing them frequently, then that's going to help increase your visibility online. So how exactly does that work? So if you have Spotlight and you've never configured it, you actually go to the Shortcuts console. This is the same page that you would go to when you're setting up online booking or when you're giving your staff permission to look at their appointments for the week. So in there, you go to Spotlight, and hopefully you've enabled it, and if not, I'll walk you through how. So when you go to Spotlight, you'll notice a couple of buttons. In those buttons, you have your key performance indicator score. That's at the top. So this allows you to track your customer feedback, and it allows you to not just track it, but if you have customers that give you glowing reviews, you have the ability to share those reviews. If you want to see where your site is performing compared to other stores, other salons in the community, you'll actually see where your averages are versus the industry averages, or where your averages are compared to where you were last month or even last year. So How do you configure those settings? When you're in Spotlight, you're going to go to the Settings button. So this is where you tell Shortcuts. If I'm going to use Spotlight, am I sending text or email surveys? Most customers prefer email. And then what is the frequency? So by default, once Spotlight is enabled, it actually sends a survey on the customer's first visit. And that's, of course, if you get the customer's email on their first visit. But then moving forwards, should a customer get a survey every visit, once a month, once every 3 months, once every 6 months, or once a year? So think about the frequency. Right now, the majority of salons that I work with, their frequency is set to about every 3 months. And then once the customers start to get those surveys, or actually once the customers respond to the surveys, how do you want to be notified? So Shortcuts actually has a way to notify you. And I'm going to show you a live demo in just a moment. So you have the ability to set up the surveys, to choose the frequency of the surveys, and to choose how you get notified. But then once you're sending surveys, once you're receiving surveys, what can you do with those? You actually have the ability, if you have your own website, to paste a little code. And this is the website plugin. So once you put the plugin on your web page, as you go through the surveys and you find customers that give you really glowing reviews, they mention a specific employee or a specific team member, and you want to actually promote them, make sure that other customers know about this service or this person, then you pick and choose the surveys you'd like to show up, the responses you'd like to show up on your own company webpage. And remember when I said a moment ago, if your website and your social media are being updated frequently, that increases your visibility on search engines. That's just one way to do it. So every week, every couple of weeks, go ahead and publish a couple of those reviews that you like. And that way it increases your searchability. So you want to find those customers, of course, that leave the glowing reviews. Not only can you share those on your own company page, if you have a Facebook page, you can pick and choose the surveys that you really like and publish them on Facebook as well. And once that survey, once that response is on Facebook, when a customer clicks on that score, it actually takes them to your online booking page. So of course, you can increase the potential for online bookings. You can also review them later. So if you have a list of them, you want to take a look at some of the customer notes a little bit later, you can flag them. And of course, you pick and choose the ones you want to share online. But then what happens when you get a negative review? So you have a few things you can do. When you're in Spotlight and you go to the details for that survey, that review, if you press public and you post a message, then when you post that message or when you post that survey, your public message will appear with that survey. So for example, a customer leaves a glowing review, you can actually say something like, be sure to check out Sally's review. She's one of my favorite clients and hear what she has to say about our color team. So that's excellent. And of course, if a customer leaves a negative review, you do have the ability to send a private message. Now, this is a one-time use message. So you can say, this is my phone number, this is my email, I'm the owner or I'm the manager of this salon. Let's talk about what happened during your previous visit and let's see how we can fix it for your next visit. So the customer is the only one that sees that message. And the nice thing about this is if you use the private function, it sort of resets their survey and it gives the customer a chance to change their score. And a majority of the time, if there was a miscommunication or the customer was having a bad day, being contacted immediately increases the likelihood that they'll give you a positive score because they realize you're an actual person, you're an actual business in the community, and you're concerned with how the staff is treating them. Now, hold on for a second. I have a question. Barbara says the feature was not working for her. It was not showing the review. So hopefully, Barbara, we'll follow up with you. I'll see if it was the version of shortcuts you had, if it was the system or the online services. So we'll double check that and absolutely keep me in the loop. We want to make sure it's working. Okay, so back to the presentation. So we'll go back one step and I'll actually show you Spotlight in the console. So in the console, again, Spotlight. So at the very top where it says NPS, that's your Net Promoter Score. This score is going to change from month to month. So if it's a thumbs up, that means the majority of your surveys, your responses are increasing or going up, trending up. It can be sideways, which means it's holding steady from month to month, or down, which means the scores are going down. Down at the bottom, the questions themselves are in 6 categories. So it's a very short survey. And these are the specific categories that the questions are about. Now, you cannot change the questions. And the reason we chose these specific categories is because of the response we got from the author of a book called The Ultimate Question 2.0. And the author of that book taught us that these are the 6 questions you can ask any client that will give you the maximum responses. So that's why we have 6 very specific questions. But then once they're on here, if you click your NPS button, your Net Promoter Score button, or if you click the reviews button, it takes you to the window where you actually see the customer reviews. And again, you have the ability to publish it on your website or to look at the details and leave a public or a private comment or return to this later. You also have the ability to share it on Facebook. And then on settings, we'll go back. So settings is where you choose the frequency. So in this case, maybe we want to do follow-up surveys every 3 months. But then beyond that, this is where Shortcuts says how many emails should you get. You could set it to send a daily notification. So at the end of the day, Shortcut says, today I sent out 6 surveys, 1 customer responded. That might be overkill, especially by the end of the year, you're going to have thousands of surveys. Instead, focus on the other 2 notifications. Contact notification. In the survey, if the customer presses the checkbox that says, I would like to be notified or I would like to be contacted by this salon, then you absolutely want to get the heads up. Maybe the customer just wants to say, hey, I wish you would carry more Redken products. Or I really liked the way Sally cut my hair today. She's one of my favorites. And this customer just wants to let you know personally. So if somebody wants to be contacted, you should get a notification. And the last one, detractor notification. So the survey is on a 10-point scale, with 10, of course, being the absolute best. Customers that score you a 9 or a 10, they're considered promoters. These are the people that jump on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, that say, hey, I just got my hair color here. This is the best place. You're going to love them. You should check them out. So they're doing the advertising, the promotion for you with their friends and family. The customers that score you the 7 or 8, they're considered passive. Maybe they're new in town, they're trying out different salons, they're trying out different stylists, they haven't settled on a favorite. So the person that scores you 7 or 8, you don't really worry about them. Perhaps a coupon for their second visit is going to increase the likelihood that they'll be back and then become a lifelong customer. But the people that score you 6 or below in any category, those are considered detractors. Historically, they're the ones that jump on Facebook, on Yelp, on Twitter, and they complain the loudest. Oh, they didn't treat me right. Oh, it was a terrible experience. Whatever the case is. And when they do this, they turn customers away from your business. So of course, as soon as you get that score, you should be notified. And that's when you get a chance to jump into your Spotlight, read what the customer said, and send them that private message. Give them your contact information and discuss how you can fix this for their next visit. And again, reaching out to customers is the fastest way to get them to sort of change their score, change their mind, and be completely transparent. You can, once their score changes or once their score updates, go ahead and put in a public comment and say, this client had a miscommunication on their last visit, but we absolutely wanted to make sure they were happy for their next visit, and share that response. But every now and then, you're going to deal with customers that are upset no matter what happens, no matter what you say, no matter what the staff says. And in that case, if they give you a really nasty score, you do have the ability to delete those. And you can delete 3 of those every 6 months. So that does affect your average, but just keep that in mind. The majority of time, you don't have to delete them because responding usually gets the customer to change their score. And I remember working with a client last year that had a habitual customer that would always leave negative scores. Every time they visited the salon, there was always a problem. No matter what the owner did, no matter what the stylist did, something was never right. And the owner said, well, why don't you go to a different salon if you're never satisfied here? And it's actually just the personality of the customer. In the end, they always liked their haircut. They always liked their color. They just constantly complained over every little thing. And they spent a lot of money with their services. They spent a lot of money getting product, and it was just their nature to complain. So just keep that in mind. Some customers you will never be able to make completely happy, give you 100% scores, but this is all going to average out because you're staying engaged with your community. So let's go back a little bit. And the last little bit, my website plugin. So remember, when you approve those surveys, they go to your webpage. So by default, Shortcuts wants to show display 3 surveys that you approved out of 20 that you've approved in total, and every 10 seconds, you're going to scroll to the next page. So how does that actually show up? So at the very top of the screen, we have one of our favorite salons, Freddie B. They're up in Ventura. So on his webpage, this is how, of course, he's able to get search engines to find him, especially for people that are searching for salons in the Ventura area. So since his webpage is being updated all the time, it increases his visibility. One of the ways he updates it is by going to his team page. On the right side, you'll see there's a review button. And every now and then, Freddie goes through the reviews and he approves them. And they show up right here. And if we give this a few seconds, watch what happens. So Shortcuts will automatically update those reviews and scroll to the next one. And it'll just keep doing that again and again and again. Freddie actually chooses how many surveys he wants to display at a time. So remember, Shortcuts defaults to 3. But if Freddie wants to display 9 or 10 surveys at a time out of 50 that he's approved, then he can change those settings. And Shortcuts will just automatically keep scrolling through them. And because these surveys keep being updated, then when Google, Bing, Yahoo, all of the search engines are scrolling through the sites, they're going to recognize this Freddie B salon keeps being updated with information. I'm going to help increase its visibility when customers are searching. So let's go back to the presentation. So how else do you increase your visibility? Oh, hold on a second. Somebody has a question. And stand by. Can you send out a survey right away to new clients? Victoria has a question. Can you send a survey right out to new clients? Spotlight has to be enabled. The customer, you have to have their email. You have to have them opted in to receive emails. The way that the surveys get sent is after the customer actually checks out at the point of sale. So it's not going to send a survey just because a customer made an appointment, and it's not going to send a survey because if you try to like press some sort of button, it just pushes a survey to everybody. This is a sort of 1, 2, 3 process. 1, the customer, you get their email, they're opted in. 2, they check out. And 3, your spotlight is enabled in the console. So that's how they get those surveys. So you can't go backwards, Victoria, and then just push out surveys to everybody. Barbara has a question. Since her website couldn't sync with shortcuts, you had to cut and paste reviews. That is very bizarre. So I wonder if there's some sort of firewall issue with your website or something else at play, because I know for certain that it works on other websites, especially Freddy's. So he just put his plugin, but I don't know who his host is, things like that. So we can absolutely investigate that. So back to the presentation. And this button. So make sure on social media, you're staying engaged with your customers, you're keeping in contact with your clients, you're sharing your links. If you're not using Spotlight, consider setting it up for your business, responding to customers, sharing those surveys on your webpage or on your Facebook page. And then how else do you increase your visibility? So that's where Google My Business comes into play. And this is something that probably the majority of you have noticed. When you're doing a Google search, if you have a web page, if you have pictures of your salon, if you have your business hours, suddenly all of that information starts to show up on Google search results. It'll appear on the right side of the screen. The name of your business, average customer Google reviews, your web page link, other details will show up right there. So how does it work? Well, as you can imagine, Google has a number of subdivisions that are constantly scouring the internet and sharing information. So if your social media strategy, if your web page strategy is constantly being updated, it increases that visibility. Google starts to take this information and it sort of creates a business page for you. And this is automatic. You're not going to Google telling them your business details, telling them your menu, telling them all of those. Google does that automatically. The little bots that they have do that all automatically. And then if your website, if your social media keeps being updated, all of those details start to filter into your business profile. So you don't just want Google to be in charge of that, to be working with that, to automatically be doing that. You want to take control. You want to take some responsibility here and make sure any information that Google displays is accurate and up to date. So you don't have to pay to take over your Google business profile, but you do have to know how to access it, how to work with it. So it's one of the most important tools for your business. So even if you have a bare bones webpage, the name of your salon, a service menu, and that's it, Google My Business can help fill in the other details. It can display customer surveys. Now, these are not Spotlight surveys, these are Google review surveys. So of course, if customers are responding to surveys from either platform from you or they're filling in their own reviews, this increases your visibility. So make sure that you, if you don't already, take control of your Google business profile. So how do you do that? So you want to verify your Google My Business listing. You can actually contact Google, and I'll give you a link in just a moment. Say, I'm the owner, I'm the manager of this salon, of this barbershop, of this spa. You can actually have it proof. They can send you a card to verify your identity or send you a link via email to verify who you say you are. Once you're in there, once you prove who you are, you can log into Google and start editing this information. Now, there is actually free training for this. Shortcuts does offer a service where we go in and we get agency access and we have the ability to optimize your Google business on your behalf. But with this downtime, there's actually no excuse why you shouldn't be able to do this as well. And Google will actually teach you step by step how to do this. Not only that, They will teach you how to work with ads, how to do all sorts of optimization for your website. And this is for free. So if you don't already edit your Google My Business profile, go to skillshop.withgoogle.com. Sign up for free. Learn how to work with Google My Business. Again, these are all free classes that Google offers. Optimize your profile, and that increases your searchability. One of the salons I worked with was Mon Cherie Salon. They're up in Ottawa. The owner was actually proactive. He already went to his Google My Business. Customers were submitting photos. He was putting in a product review once a week or once every other week. All of that increased his searchability. We helped him optimize some of his search phrases, and he has a very high score with regards to customers, with engagement. And Google also sends him emails when customers are staying engaged, when they're asking questions on his Google My Business. So you can use this downtime, this everybody shelter in place time, to learn completely new ways to increase your visibility. And the last thing we just want to remind you, if you're sort of overwhelmed with options like where do I begin? How do I stay engaged? Remember, we have social sorted, where we curate articles that you can use, where we have a gallery of images that you can use specific for your business, whether you're a salon, spa, barbershop. How do you stay engaged? We'll help you with a plan. Have you done this step? Have you done this step? Have you tried doing this? And of course, it's free to use until June 30th. So of course, the sooner you sign up, the more days you can take advantage of it, as long as it's free. So now that you have some ideas of how social media helps you keep engaged, how to increase your visibility, now we're going to open up the floor for actual questions. So I'm going to go back to the question list, and let's go back. Let's see. Barbara was having an issue. It was not syncing with shortcuts. She had to cut and paste. So we definitely want to investigate that, Barbara. If it was the version of shortcuts, if it was the browser, if there was some other setting that was preventing it from synchronizing correctly. Mon has a question. Does it work with Wix? The Spotlight survey plugin, it is a JavaScript. So yes, you can plug it into your Wix. There is a plugin in Wix that is like an HTML or a script or a Java, and you can paste that in there. Barbara had a question. This happened initially, so maybe with updates. So there might be some updates that have to be put on your system, Barbara, to help with the synchronization, but we absolutely want to investigate that. She has a follow-up question. Can shortcuts link the review to a Google review? So no, these sort of are two different platforms. The Google reviews will stay on Google My Business. There is not yet a way to push the Google reviews into Spotlight and vice versa. Actually, to correct that, Spotlight survey reviews do have the ability to show up on Google My Business, but not vice versa. So that's another reason why you want to make sure that you're optimizing your Google My Business profile. And one other thing, if you are in the US, if you have Spotlight enabled, you may want to consider using My Local Salon. So I'll pause this again for a moment. So remember that Freddie has his plugin on his actual webpage. So of course, every time he approves these surveys, then that increases his profile. But let's say Freddie takes a vacation and he doesn't update it for a few weeks, or in the case of a pandemic, he's not updating this information because of an unfortunate closure. So how are the other ways that surveys can be updated? So this is where My Local Salon comes in. So when you do a general web search in Google, in Bing, in the search engines, you'll type something like, I'm looking for a place that does kids haircuts, or kids haircut in my town, or kids haircuts in a zip code, whatever it is. Google will give you a list of sites, a list of salons. Well, how does Google find those salons? How does Google find that information? My local salon is a directory listing that Shortcuts generates. And if you have Spotlight, chances are you have a My Local Salon listing and you've never enabled it. So because Freddie has his My Local Salon page set up, it takes his information, this short description that he has, and it starts to push it towards Google. And if a customer clicks and manages to find this directory listing, they can make an appointment right from here. They can see what services does he offer when the customer clicks on the link. They can see what his average ratings are, when his business is normally open, where his address is, things like that. What are the services that he offers? So the way that this is constantly being updated, that Google is constantly able to find Freddie, comes because of the surveys. So Freddie is only picking and choosing just a couple of reviews, the ones that usually mention specific employees. That's how customers can put a name with a face. They can say, oh, this is Shanti, the one that somebody was just talking about, when they read the survey. But Freddie has so many surveys that he can go through, hundreds and hundreds of surveys. What happens to the rest of those? If you have a My Local Salon page, the other surveys automatically get published here every 2 weeks. So of course, the most glowing ones, chances are Freddie has already manually attached it to his webpage or has approved it for his webpage. But the rest of them still show up here. And these include many 5-star, 10-star ratings. So those are all going into his averages. Those are all increasing his profile. And because this is an automatic process, then this increases Google's ability to find the Freddie B salon. And of course, if somebody leaves a really negative review, Freddie does have the ability to remove it before it automatically gets published here. So just keep this in mind. If you're in the US, you have Spotlight, make sure that you have your My Local Salon page set up. Okay, we have another question. Let's go back to the presentation. And what is the question? If I have a QR code or a link to Google, can Shortcuts use that to send out to customers? Hmm. Now, Barbara, were you thinking of sending like an email to your customers that has some sort of code that you can, because of course you can do that. If you have a screenshot or something, you can of course use Shortcuts Marketing to email your customers that code. So is it a link to a store page, a web page, whatever the case is, you can always use Shortcuts Marketing for that. Victoria has a question. Can you select which reviews show up on My Local Salon? Victoria, no, that's an automatic process. So every 2 weeks, whatever new surveys are there get published automatically. The only thing you can do is filter out the ones you don't want to show up. So you can delete, again, those 3 negative reviews. For the most part, they all get published. And that makes it very transparent because, of course, there's never been a salon or a spa or a barbershop that has had 100% completely satisfied customers. Because, again, the nature of some customers is that they will never be happy, no matter how wonderful your service is. So don't be disappointed if somebody gives you 4 stars instead of 5 stars, even though they had a great experience. That's just their nature. Let's see. Freddie has a question. Yeah, Freddie, we've been using your website as an example because you're using everything the way you're supposed to, and of course that increases your visibility. Victoria has another question. How can you link Spotlight to your Google Business page? Spotlight does not link to Google Business. There's not a plugin for that. Google will automatically search for surveys, search for reviews, and it'll just parse them into the business page, into the score. And Barbara has another question. Can I use My Local Salon but not book appointments since we are a medical spa and cannot book appointments online. Okay. So in that scenario, you can use My Local Salon and we can disable online booking. So even if a customer were to click on the book online link, it'll show your information, it'll show your business hours, but there will be no no services that the customer can choose. Your service category will be hidden from them, your employees will be hidden from them, and the names of the services will be hidden. It'll sort of just be like going to an advertising page, the name of the salon, and that's it. So we can't make that button disappear completely, but if a customer clicks on it, they have no options to make appointments. So you do have the ability to filter what is available for online. Something you may consider, Barbara, is having consultation be the only thing that a customer can book online, whether it's a half hour or an hour, and that will be the only thing that is available. Mon has a question. How can we delete a non-verified duplicate on the My Google business? Have you heard of that? I think that did come up in training, that if there are multiple listings, you have to claim one of them. And I think you have to work with Google to verify, you're the owner of the listing, this other is a duplicate, either it was moved or made by accident. And I think it can be removed, but it just requires you to stay in contact with Google. And it's not a quick process. It can take several weeks, if not several months. Okay. Are there any other questions? I know we've covered a lot of things this morning, but are there any other questions that you think of? And of course, if you're watching this video after the fact, you can go ahead and reach out to our customer success team, our help desk, our education teams. We're all here right now. We are answering our emails. So let us know if you're watching this video after the fact and you think of a question, and we will get back to you. So remember, update your social media frequently. Claim your Google business profile. Absolutely. Go through the training sessions. If you don't know how to work with Google Ads, now's your chance to learn. All of that is free. And this is something that you can pick up during the closure. And this is going to help you prepare for when you reopen. So always have a plan in place. And I never want to hear the excuse of, I don't really know how to use the computer. I don't really know how to use social media. Well, it's like everything else. It's just practice. Nobody knew out of the gate how to color hair, how to do a buzz cut, how to paint nails. This is something that had to be learned. And so we had to go to school. We had to practice. I taught at a college for about 15 years how to use computers. So I had people that had never used a computer. I had retirees that were taking classes on how to learn computers. And at the end of a few weeks, they became experts because they practiced it. So no excuses from everybody. Now is absolutely your chance to learn something new and help your business grow. So with that said, if you have questions for us, if you're watching this video after the fact, go ahead and give us an email, give us a call, and you can even message us on social media. We will get back to you, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram. We're always checking that. So thank you all for attending. A special thank you to Freddie for letting me use his website as the demonstration. And I look forward to seeing you on the next classroom session. Have a great day, everybody. Barbara, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to us. We want to make sure that it's all working for you. Okay, take care, everybody.